Hello, BookTube. I want to talk about William Faulkner. William Faulkner was a major American novelist of the early 20th century, um, whose works are the poster child of literary modernism and the Southern Gothic. William Faulkner is also the subject of a yearly BookTube event, Faulkner in August, in which participants read a Faulkner novel in the month of August. Um, I have a history with William Faulkner um, that has, that I think it's unsettled, largely because of my shifting tastes as I've gotten older. And I've talked about this a bit. When I was younger, I was more interested in and enjoyed more um, the canonical novels and modern and contemporary novels. But once my college years were over, I largely gravitated away from uh, classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction. Um, Although there's a part of me that still wants to be that still wants to enjoy um, what I used to. I just don't. And in a way, I think my experience of Faulkner has kind of followed that trajectory. My first encounter with William Faulkner was in my early teen years. I had an anthology of Gothic tales in which the short story A Rose for Emily was included. And I think I revisited that story in American Lit 2 while in college. Also in college, I read three novels of William Faulkner. The Sound and the Fury, in a modern and postmodern fiction class. Not this exact edition. The edition was Norton Critical. Um, and so The Sound and the Fury is about the decline of a prominent family in Faulkner's made-up county, Yakanapatawpha, the Compsons. Um, and then for a class on Southern American fiction, I read As He Lay Dying, which is about a poor family in Yakanapatawpha County, the Buntrans, who are taking the family matriarch on an extended burial cortege to the county seat because she wishes to be buried with her maiden family rather than with her married into family. She does not want to be married with the Buntrans, and this leads to disaster on several fronts. I also attempted to read for that class Light in August, which is about a criminal getting up to quite a bit of mischief. I ultimately ended up skimming that novel. I really did not like it. Um, Now, as far as The Sound and the Fury and As He Lay Dying are concerned, I do remember somewhat liking both of them when I read them in college. And I remember rereading As He Lay Dying a year or so after my first reading of it. And I also tried or picked up and tried Absalom, which is the story of the decline and fall of another wealthy plantation family in Yakutopatawpha County, although this one is more historical than The Sound and the Fury. And I ended up bailing on it within a few chapters, if I remember. And of the Faulkner I had at the time, the only one I ended up keeping was As They Lay Dying. This is the one I had. The Sound and the Fury, Light in August, Absalom, I did get rid of. Although I subsequently found this copy of The Sound and the Fury at the book sale nook of the Westwaco Library and Genealogy Center. So for more than a decade, I did not read Faulkner. And then I discovered BookTube and Faulkner in August. And I participated in the Faulkner in August centered on The Sound and the Fury. And I didn't get on with it. I didn't really enjoy the experience. It's just whatever worked the first time I read it didn't work this time. And I think maybe it's my shifting reaction to the character that I found most compelling in The Sound and the Fury, Quentin Compson the Elder, who I think I found a bit more attractive, charismatic the first time I read it, and the second time just he's a bit pathetic, isn't he? And I think something similar happened with my rereading attempt at As They Lay Dying this year for Faulkner in August, in which it just whatever interest I had in the novel and the sort of my reaction to Daryl, just it wasn't there, and I think in this case it was more. It didn't come off as authentic. That it just the Bundrans don't really read as real people. I mean, particularly my sort of discussion of this video or this novel in my most recent weekly reads, I pointed out Dewey Doe does not read like a teenage girl. She reads like a 20, 30 something year old male writer's fantasy of what a teen girl would sound like. And Vardaman does not sound like a 10-year-old at all. And as I was thinking about my reaction, I also, I think, realized that to a certain extent, I know the Bundrans. I'm actually related to the Bundrans. Not that I want to get into too much detail about my brother and sister-in-law, but so I think that might also be coloring some of my reaction to As They Lay Dying. But anyway, I'm not exactly happy with my recent reading attempts at both The Sound and the Fury and As They Lay Dying. So I don't know if I'm going to try to revisit them when perhaps I'm in a better mental space or what. My whole reaction to modern and contemporary fiction is something that I have been struggling with. I mean, probably the healthiest thing would be for me to just admit that it's not for me. I mean, just keep trying, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and move on. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of other books for me to read that I might enjoy, so stopping myself from picking those books, finding those books and reading them because I'm trying to force myself to like what I don't like doesn't make much sense. But anyway, BookTube, I'll be back next time. So until then, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.